Hi, this is Krishna. So I thought I'd do two teaching sessions, two short demos. One of them would be on a general science topic, and the other would be on a more software computer science oriented operating systems one. So here goes the general science topic. So the topic I choose is based on a phenomenon. Uh, which is again based on a kind of apocryphal story of Galileo, a long time back, uh, going to this leaning tower of Pisa and dropping two objects of differing masses from the same point, and observing the fact that both these objects of different masses falling to the ground at the same time. So the explanation of this that I got in school, at least a while back, um, was never fully convincing. I understood the maths behind it, but not the actual physical sort of intuitive basis of it. So here is my take on this a few years down the road. um, so let's take two objects just for example's sake. So here's a football, presumably of higher mass, and a plastic container of lesser mass. So, what your intuition tells you, or at least told me back then in school, and quite often even now, is that the the object of the greater mass, in this case the football, would fall to the ground at a faster rate than the object of the lesser mass, the plastic container. So, but obviously the observation was different. The observation was that both of those objects of different masses fell to the ground at the same time. So, so just I mean, apart from the intuitive sort of story, the if you think about the phenomenon in a bit deeper, um, this there is this additional topic, interesting topic of inertia. So you have to keep that in mind when you keep have this inertia understanding of inertia in mind, along with this sort of intuitive feeling about the falling of the objects, then you kind of begin to understand the situation a bit better. So, what is inertia? Inertia, as we have been taught in school, and most of us kind of remember this, is the inherent property of an object, which allows it to rest in place, stationary, or to go in a straight line it at the same velocity. So basically, it's a kind of resistor of acceleration. It prefers to let things be in the same state, the same velocity. So if keep this in mind when and think of the phenomenon again, the phenomenon of two objects of different masses falling to the ground. Um, what tells you about the inertia of these objects is that the um, inertia of the greater massive object or the more massive object would, since inertia is a property that is also linearly proportional to the mass of the object, the inertia, although the gravitational pull on which is the main force that is in play, which the gravitational force of the Earth, it's because it's proportional to the mass of the object. The gravitational force of the Earth would be greater for the more massive object, but correspondingly, you have this counterbalancing inertial effect. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a force, but this inertial effect would counterbalance this greater pull, and because inertia also happens to be um, happily in happy coincidence to be linearly proportional to the mass of the object, the greater pull on the more massive object would be counterbalanced by this greater inertial effect, which would go against the acceleration that is caused by the gravitational force. So if you think of both these things put together, now you begin to get this idea. Sort of your intuition corrects itself, and you have this aha moment where you think, aha, this forces in play are the gravitational force, which is greater in the case of the more massive object, and the inertial force, which is also equally correspondingly greater in the case of the more massive object, would lead to this situation, which is a kind of situation of dynamic equilibrium, where the both the higher mass object and the lower mass object would get to the ground at the same time because of the counterbalancing forces, the gravitational pull and the correspondingly higher gravitational pull and the correspondingly higher inertial effect. So I hope that has been a convincing enough explanation for you. And that is the general science topic I had in mind. The operating systems one will follow shortly. Thank you. Bye.